Alright, guys, this time we are going to look at abstract methods and abstract classes. So this is exactly what we will be looking at, and it is extremely important that we are going to take into account the principle of indentation to a high recognition and awareness. So we are going to try by all means that we write a code in such a way that we can try to eliminate as many errors that might occur as possible. So let me define some few things in here. So what is an abstract class? An abstract class is a class that can contain one or more abstract methods. This is exactly what an abstract class is. And then instancing abstract class which contains abstract method results in an exception. So you cannot instantiate an abstract class. You cannot create an instance of an abstract class. Very important, because it is supposed to represent something abstract and not specific. Very important. So in order to use an abstract class and an abstract methods, there is a module that needs to be imported. Right. Let us look into that. Now I'm going to put in my recorder in here, and you say from ABC import. Very good. So what is it that you are importing? You are importing ABC, comma, and then you will have your space, and then we will say abstract method. So sorry, abstract method. There it is. So this is the import that we need to have in there. So what would be the syntax? We will look into that, don't worry. So the syntax of an abstract class is you use the reserved keyword class, you give it a name, for example P, and then inside of your brackets in there you type in your ABC. So what are you doing in here? You are defining an abstract class, but this is not what we are going to do. So what we are going to do, we are just going to have a class. We are going to have a class which we will call a figure, right? And this class, it's an abstract class, so I'm going to use ABC there. So I am defining an abstract class which I call a figure there. Very important. And then I have to now define an abstract method. So I'm going to say, I'm going to define in here an abstract method. Very, very important. But this abstract method that I'm having there, remember, I am not going to make any brackets in there. This is just an abstract method. It is supposed to represent something abstract and not specific. And then I am going to define a function which I will call calculate an area, and this method accepts no arguments, and what it just does, I'm going to use a pass. Now remember what pass does, because a pass will ensure that I don't have an exception that is thrown in there. Very, very important. So I'm just having calculate area in here, and because I am having nothing in here that needs to be printed out, I'm going to write pass as a way of ensuring that no exception is thrown. And then secondly, I'm going to in a class which I will call a square. So a square is a figure, therefore it will inherit from a figure. Very important. And then what is it that I'm going to do in this? So I'm going to implement the abstract method. Very, very important. So I'm going to implement this abstract method in this. So what is it that I'm going to do in here? I'm going to say, okay, let me define a function which I will call calculate area. So what is it that I'm doing this time? I am implementing that method. So let me just, I could have just copied this, copy and paste. And then what would be the implementation there? I'm going to say please return self dot side plus self dot side, because this is how you would calculate the area of a square. You take side, you multiply that with the side. So there is nothing mysterious about this. So what have I done here? I have implemented the abstract method. Very, very important. So here is my abstract method, which I call calculate area, and this is an abstract method. Very, very important that we note this. This is an abstract method, and I am implementing that method in here, right? And then secondly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a class which I will call a rectangle. And a rectangle is a figure, so it will inherit from a figure. And then what is it that I'm going to do in there? I am also going to override that. So let me just say control paste. And then what is it that I want to return in here? How do I calculate area? I'm going to say self dot, I'm going to take in the width, and I'm going to multiply that by self dot height. Very, very important that we understand that. All right. And then before I can create an instance, let me show you what is happening here. This is very, very important. Where is the mouse? Here it is. Now the first thing that I do, because I want to create an abstract class, you have this import from ABC, import ABC, and then you have your comma abstract method. This is the import that you need to have. I'm defining a class called figure, and then what does this ABC mean? It's an abstract class. Very, very important. Highly and highly important. And I want you to look at the arrows in here because we will talk about them in a few minutes. Right, and then in here I'm having an abstract method, as you can see there. What is this? This is an abstract class. This one is a class, and this one is an abstract method. What is the abstract method? It's calculate area, and I am using pass there so that it doesn't throw an exception, because I did not provide an implementation for this because it is abstract. Then I'm creating another class, square. A square, it's a figure, therefore it will inherit from a figure. So a figure has an abstract method called calculate area that needs to be implemented, and in here I am implementing that method. I'm creating a class rectangle is a figure, therefore it will have to implement this, and here I am doing exactly that. Nothing is new with this. Right, and then what is it that I have to do in here? I need to create an instance. So I'm going to come here and say rectangle equals a rectangle. So I am creating an instance of a rectangle. Okay, and then what is it that I'm going to do this? So I need to provide in the width and the height. So via an instance rectangle dot width, I'm going to assign it a value of 3, and rectangle dot height, I'm going to assign it a value of 2. And I want to have some printouts because I don't have any method that prints anything for me. So I'm going to do this in here. So I'm going to say a squares area equals, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to use a comma in there, and I'm going to say, and I want you to check this, I'm going to say okay, before we can do that, let me just come here and say square equals a square there. Very important. So I'm going to come here and say square dot calculate area. Very important, and it will calculate the area for me. I'm going to copy this and paste it in here, and here I'm going to say a rectangles area, and I'm going to say rectangle dot calculate area there. Let me just get rid of these unwanted spaces in there. So when I am in here, let us check what is happening there. So everything is fine, we don't have a problem in this. So when I create an instance of rectangle, and I want you to look at this, very important, I have created a rectangle dot width and a rectangle dot height, but I did not passed in the side of a square. So I still need to come in here and say square dot side and assign it a value maybe of 2. Very important. So what am I doing in here? So when I call in square dot calculate area, it will go to a square. Where is a square? There it is. It will take that side, sorry, it's multiplication in here. It will take that side and multiply that with another side, and it will return that. And what is it that I'm doing in here? So it will say squares area equals that, and rectangles area equals that. So let us try to run this and check. So square area is 4 and rectangle area is none. Let us look what makes this the way in which it is. So in here, I'm trying to call in the rectangle dot calculate area, and I want you to check something in here. Where is my rectangle? Here it is. When I look in here, very important, when we look in here, the height, there it is, and the width, there it is, but they were not printed out. It says none, and the question is, why does it say that? Now let us look into this. Let us just try to look into this. So let me just have some space in here and see whether that should be a possibility for us. So it will return self.width times self.height, and I don't want to introduce any variable. So let us check. Height, it's exactly as that, and the width is exactly as that. So when I create a class in here, rectangle inherits from a figure, and here I'm defining a function. So let me just try to indent. It seems fine. Let's run this, and the value is still none. Okay, so what could be the possible cause of this? Let me check something in here. So I'm having my width, but now I'm having a problem in here. Oh, you see what is happening in here. I don't have the return. I should have said return this. Do you see? That is the problem that we had. So let's just run this and see what would happen in there. The area is a 6. So that is to say, it will say in here, when it calculates the area of a rectangle, it will take in 2 and it will multiply that by 3 and it will get us a value of 6. So this is how we do things. We allow ourselves to make mistakes, try to run through our code until we find exactly where the mistake is. And when we look into this code, this arrow tries to show you that the method in here points to the method above, which is this one, and the method in here points to a higher method that is on top. So you are having a class with a method, and these two inherit from this, so they are implementing, in other words, the abstract method in there. Very important. And if a square is a figure, it will have to implement the abstract method in there, so it will just provide. So this is one way of showing polymorphism, reusability of a method in different ways. But the point was how to create an abstract class with abstract methods. So in here, from ABC, import ABC. So this is an abstract class, comma, and this is an abstract method. Very, very important. So we must have this. If we decide, for example, to comment this, let us try to run this code and see what is going to happen in here. And everything still works just fine. And even if I can take this to the other side, just somewhere there, everything still works fine. How about we try to delete this? Let's run this again, and everything is working just fine. So we don't have to have this abstract method in there. So this is an abstract class, there it is, but you want to also have an abstract method. So if you get rid of this, let us try to run this code, and everything is working just fine. Everything is fine, but there is a red there that says click or press Ctrl plus Enter. So let me just click there, and then it says create a function abstract method in module abc.py or rename reference. Okay, let us try to look in here, edit, inspection profile settings. So let me just click this and see exactly what it is going to do, and it just does nothing. And when we run our code, everything is still working fine. So we do not, no, let's just leave it. So in here we can just say from ABC import ABC, which is an abstract class. And you can have an abstract method in here, but you cannot get rid of this pass. This pass will ensure that you don't have an exception that is thrown, because this is a method that you did not provide any printout for. So the pass will ensure that no exception is thrown. And then that would be your abstract method inside of your abstract class. So we are having an abstract class with an abstract method, and using inheritance. If a square inherits from a figure, because a square is a figure, it will provide an implementation for calculating an area. And this is something worthy of noting, something that I wanted to share with you, wonderful people. This is Papa Fanzo, the mathematician, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial.